Did you know that the tap water quality not only changes from every country that you're in, but also every city and even town that you're in? Today, we're going to find out which Australian city has the best water for coffee. Water has a massive impact on coffee. It's something we're all kind of growing to learn. Just last week, I was in Brisbane, and anytime I'm in Brisbane, that first sip of water I have from the tap, out of a glass, but from the tap water, I always notice that it tastes different from the Sydney water I'm used to. It's got more of a kind of gritty, earthy taste to it. It all comes down to the mineral content within the water. Today, we're going to do a little experiment. This is something I've wanted to do for a while, so I'm pretty excited to do this. What we've got here is tap water from 4 different Australian cities. We've got Canberra, Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. And what we're going to do is we're going to boil that, prepare a cupping, and control all the other variables. This way, we're going to see that entire impact just of the water coming out of the tap on the flavor of the coffee. Water obviously makes up a big chunk of what is in your coffee. In an espresso, it's actually about 10% coffee solids dissolved, the remainder 90% being water. If you're making a filter coffee, it's even higher. You've got about 98.5% water. It's not just H2O. You've got a lot of dissolved minerals, things like salts, you've got chlorines, you've got sulfates, a whole bunch of things, and it does differ from city to city, tap to tap. Calcium can add a bit more of a heavy, thicker, fuller body to your coffee. It can also create more brightness. You've also got magnesium in your water. So magnesium is a little bit similar to calcium, but it doesn't have so much of an effect on the body. Really just kind of impacts the brightness in your coffee. With calcium and magnesium, if you've got too much of it, it can create more of an earthy flavor. Kind of gets in the way of the good flavors you want in your coffee. You've also got things like chlorine, which is added for health reasons to your water. This can create like a chemical flavor that you don't really want. So what we're gonna do here is before we taste our coffee, I'm gonna actually taste each of these waters on their own, just tap water from the tap in the bottle, and we'll see how they go. I'm also going to take a TDS measurement. So what the TDS measurement does, that's this little guy here, that gives you a measurement in parts per million of everything that's in your water. Let's say hypothetically it's 100 parts per million. That could be a combination of magnesium, chlorides, calcium. Now, if you want to get a little bit more specific, you can get a water testing kit like this. Costs a little bit more. These are kind of designed to use in aquariums and things like that, but they'll give you a complete breakdown of each mineral content within your water. I'll turn this on, I'll pop it in the water, and it's going to give us a number. So first up, that was the Canberra water, I believe. We're at 42 parts per million. It's kind of what I expected for Canberra. It's on the softer side. Now, we don't know whether that's good or bad. We'll have to wait and taste to find out. Melbourne, 45 for that one. So similar to Canberra. And Sydney, we're up at 86. So a step up in hardness. That might be more magnesium. It might be more calcium. Finally, Brisbane, we're up at 216. Brisbane water, it's kind of what I expected. It's going to be a lot harder. They use a lot of groundwater. So that water's in contact with the rock, essentially pulls out more minerals from that, from the rocks. Exciting bit. You're going to watch me drink water, you freaks. We'll start off with Canberra. Cool. I'd say that's, it tastes like water, but that's pretty mild. There's not too much else going on. Pretty pleasant. Okay, it is a clear difference from the Canberra to the Melbourne, even though their parts per million were super similar. I'd say the Melbourne water is a little bit thinner, whilst the Canberra water has a little bit more body. It's a bit more, it's weird to say creamy, but it's creamy. All right, on to Sydney. Okay, that's familiar. To me, that tastes like water. That's the water I'm accustomed to. It's what I know. Comparing it to these two, still not too different in flavor. Texture is really kind of the difference between them. Finally, Brisbane. All right, so that's a stark difference. It tastes a lot more like water you might get from a creek. I think that's the hardness coming through in it. It's a bit more, almost woody kind of flavors coming through. I don't want to say dirty. We won't say dirty, we'll say woody. You've watched me taste water. Thanks for doing that. Next up, what we're gonna do is get into the experiment. I want to do it blind. I don't want to have any of my preconceived judgments biasing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this cupping up. I'm going to pour water onto each of these, and then I'm going to step out of frame, or maybe I'll turn around. These will all be randomized. We'll switch them up. My friend Jack over here is going to step off behind the camera, and he's going to randomize and try and trick me, because he's a trickster. That's what he does. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how they taste and see if we can decide, for one, do they taste different? Is one better than the other? And we'll see if we can rank the best waters in Australia for our Campos Superior blend. Back with the kettles. All right, so I'm going to start this cupping. I've got a little timer here off screen. You can't see that. That's just for me. And we're going to pour on each of these in standard cupping protocols. So cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let these brew for about 4 minutes before I break, and I'll check back in then. We're back to break. I'm going to break these. It's a little stir. I'll see if I can smell the difference. Not really expecting to, but we'll see how we go. Not really. Maybe a little fruitier on that one. That one's a bit more mild again. Yeah, all pretty similar. I don't think I can tell the difference at this point. We'll have to wait till we taste it. So I'll finish cleaning these where I remove the crust, at which point my friend Jack over here is going to come and trick me. All right, so these are clean. Jack's going to mix them up. He's going to trick me. I'm going to turn around. My glasses are off. I'm blind without these things. And let me know when you're ready for me. I can hear you being sneaky back there. Did he change them? Who knows? I could hear them moving, so I think yes. I don't know which is which at this point. So I'm going to give each of a taste. I'm going to talk through them, and hopefully I can decide which is best or which is, which one I like the most, I suppose. So let's get into it. I'll start from the left, my left at least. Should have given you a slurp warning. Okay, first off, it's pretty good. I might just go through each and give them a taste. That'll help you kind of contrast each. Interesting. They do taste different. So that's good news. We didn't do all this for nothing. Okay, this first one, it's fairly rounded. There's fruits there. The acidity feels a little bit muted though. It's probably the biggest difference I think in that one versus the others. But we'll have a look. All right, so this one, meanwhile, the acidity is a little bit more ramped up. Yeah, on to the next. This one feels sharp. There's maybe less kind of fruit and sweetness in general in that. Okay, and this is almost the opposite of that somehow. So lots of fruit, not that sharp. Yeah, okay. Look, it's tricky to find which is my favorite. So I might just go through. I'll give it another run. Okay. All right, one more run. This is tricky. Okay, I think I can do it. I'm gonna put this one last place. This one has a bit more of a gritty earthiness to it. I feel like this one probably has the highest mineral content. My guess is the Brisbane, but I could be very wrong. So we'll say this is coming fourth. All right, this is going to be my third place here. So we've got fourth and third. This one, yeah, it's not too bad. Just a little mild, little dull, I suppose. Whereas these two are a bit more lively. Okay, both of these are quite nice. Honestly, I could go either way. I'm going to pick this one. It feels a little bit more balanced, a little bit more rounded, more focused in on, I'd say, the dried fruit note in this one, whereas that's just, more caramels, chocolate. Still nice. All right, shall we unveil these? So I've got the answers written on the bottom of these. Last place is Brisbane. Cool. The next one. So this is my third place. Oh, interesting. This is Sydney water. Sorry to my homeland, sorry to the Sydney guys. Interestingly, what I'm finding is that's the hardest, that's the second highest hardness. So Canberra, and I hate to say it, Melbourne has one. That's how you know it's not rigged. I would have gone for Sydney if I'd rigged this. Cool. So yeah, some fascinating things here. I think that the tastes of these, what we've noticed is those higher mineral contents with the more calcium or magnesium, likely what it is making up the extra hardness. I think what that's largely doing is kind of dulling the complexity of the other flavors that come out in the coffee. So you're losing that acidity, you're losing some of those kind of fruit intense flavors and sweetness, especially that we had in these two. So we've established that water actually does make a pretty big impact to your coffee taste. We've seen that in this case, Melbourne water, Canberra water, Sydney water, and Brisbane water all taste quite different. I'd really recommend that you take your water seriously at home, whether that's putting a water filter on your tap, or whether it's getting a jug with filtration involved, or whether it's creating your own water. So this is something you can do with distilled water and adding in your own minerals to create tailored water specifically for your coffees. It's a little complex, but if you're interested, we can create a video on this. Let us know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. Also, let us know in the comments if you've done something like this yourself or if you've noticed differences in that water taste from city to city. If there's other cities in Australia or around the world that you'd like us to test, let us know. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.